They didn't just kill him, they erased him. First, they shot him. Then, they hacked his body into pieces, dissolved it in acid, and kept his tooth and some parts as grotesque trophies. This is not a crime from medieval times. This was 1961. His name was Patrice Lumumba, and the world let it happen. July 2nd, 1925, in the small village of Onaloa in Kasai province, in the Belgian Congo, now Democratic Republic of the Congo, a boy named Elias Okita Sombo was born. His childhood was marked by the slow rhythm of village life, fishing in the Sankuru River, listening to elders tell stories under the shade of trees. But the elders noticed something unusual. His gaze lingered longer. His words carried a strange weight. They whispered that this child would one day lead or die for the truth. From an early age, Elias had an insatiable hunger for knowledge. He read everything he could lay his hands on: Belgian propaganda leaflets, the Bible, old missionary texts, smuggled political essays, even speeches from the French Revolution. After attending a Protestant mission school, he went on to work in Kindu, Port and Pain. He wrote essays and poems for Congolese journals. He moved to Leopoldville, now Kinshasa, where he became a postal clerk and also went on to become an accountant in the post office in Stanleyville, now Kisangani. By this time, he had mastered the written word, and with it came dangerous ideas. A colonized man who could write could also challenge the narratives of those who ruled over him. In 1955, he became regional president of a purely Congolese trade union of government employees. In 1956, he was arrested on charges of embezzlement from the post office, a charge many believe was fabricated to silence his growing influence. Prison did not break him, it sharpened him. When he emerged, he took on a new name, Patrice Lumumba. Soon after, in 1958, he, along with other Congolese leaders, founded the Mouvement National Congolese, the MNC, the Congolese National Movement, the first nationwide Congolese political party that sought to unite all Congolese people beyond tribal or ethnic lines. This vision of unity terrified the Belgians. A united Congo could control its own vast mineral wealth, diamonds, gold, cobalt, uranium. And in the shadows of the Cold War, Congo's uranium had already been used to build the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The stakes were global. The Belgian government had proposed a program to lead to independence beginning with local elections. The nationalists announced a boycott because they felt the Belgian government wanted to install puppets before independence. On October 30, 1959, there was a clash in Stanleyville that resulted in 30 deaths. Lumumba was arrested and imprisoned on a charge of inciting to a riot. By 1960, the winds of independence were unstoppable. In the local elections, the MNC decided to shift tactics and eventually won a sweeping victory in Stanleyville, 90% of the votes. In January 1960, the Belgian government convened a roundtable conference in Brussels of all Congolese parties, but the MNC refused to participate without Lumumba. Lumumba was therefore released and flown to Brussels. The conference agreed on a date for independence, June 30th, and he became the Congo's first prime minister. Joseph Kasavubu became the president, a partnership that looked solid on paper but was fragile in reality. On June 30th, 1960, Congo's Independence Day, Belgium's King Baldwin arrived in a white military dress uniform, gold insignia on his shoulder gleaming, a ceremonial sash across his chest, and rows of medals. He addressed the crowd, praising colonialism as a civilizing mission. Then, without warning, Lumumba, unplanned, rose and addressed everyone. In just 12 minutes, he shattered the polite facade. He spoke of the humiliating slavery of colonial rule, the blood that had been spilled, the torture, the dignity stolen. He reminded the world that Congo's freedom had been fought for, not gifted. Some say the king's face turned pale. Others recall Belgian officials gripping their fists under the table. That speech electrified the people and sealed his fate. In the weeks that followed, the Congolese army mutinied, and the mineral-rich province of Katanga, backed by Belgian corporations, declared secession under Moise Tshombe. Lumumba turned to the United Nations for help. They stalled. Desperate, he sought assistance from the Soviet Union. In Washington and Brussels, that was all they needed to hear. To them, Lumumba had crossed into communist threat territory. A foreign cable bluntly stated, his removal must be an urgent and prime objective. The opportunity came quickly. Joseph Désiré Mobutu, a 29-year-old army chief and once Lumumba's ally, had been quietly building his own power, fueled by Belgian funds and foreign backing. In early September 1960, President Kasavubu, encouraged by foreign advisors, announced on radio that he was dismissing Lumumba as prime minister. Lumumba countered immediately, declaring Kasavubu removed instead. For days, Congo had two men claiming to lead the nation. In the chaos, Mobutu made his move. On September 14th, he launched what he called a peaceful, neutralist revolution. Soldiers loyal to him seized key government buildings, disarmed Lumumba's guard, and placed him under house arrest. He then handed political authority back to Kasavubu, but the real power lay in his own hands. It was a masterstroke of deception. Lumumba was stripped of power without a single official shot fired. Even under restriction, Lumumba tried to rally support. He escaped, attempting to reach Stanleyville, a stronghold of his allies. Mobutu's forces captured him before he could get there. What followed was a slow, calculated delivery of Lumumba into the hands of those who wanted him gone. On January 17, 1961, Lumumba was flown to Katanga. In a remote clearing in Elizabethville in Katanga, Belgian officers and the separatist Katangan troops of Moise Tshombe beat him savagely for hours. That night, under a dim African sky, on the 17th of January, he and his two companions, Maurice Mpolo and Joseph Okito, were shot under a firing squad. His body, along with those of his two companions, were buried, but because they realized their bodies could be discovered, a decision was taken to make them disappear once and for all, with no trace left. The then police commissioner, Gerard Soot, and his team, armed with saws, sulfuric acid, face masks, and whiskey, later exhumed their remains, chopped them into pieces, and dissolved in sulfuric acid, a process he later described as traveling to the depths of hell. For decades, Belgium denied involvement, but years later, it emerged that the Belgian police commissioner, Gerard Soot, had kept one of Lumumba's tooth as a grotesque trophy, a trophy only returned to Congo in 2022. He said he had gotten rid of the other body parts he also took. Patrice Lumumba was just 35 years old. His leadership had lasted less than 7 months, yet his name became immortal. Some believe that had he lived, Congo might have forged a truly independent path, free from both Western and Soviet dominance, a path that could have reshaped Africa's future. Others say his assassination marked the moment post-colonial Africa was locked into decades of instability and foreign interference. They tried to erase him. They dissolved his body, but they could not kill the idea he represented. From murals in Kinshasa to the speeches of Malcolm X, from student protests in Johannesburg to the chants of Pan-Africanists around the world, Patrice Lumumba's flame still burns. He had once written, "History will one day have its say. It will not be the history taught in Brussels, Paris, Washington, but the history taught in the countries freed from colonization." And when that history speaks, it will remember the man who dared to tell a king the truth and paid for it with his life.